Hello and welcome to Health Matters on Channels Television. Thanks for staying with us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. There's a part of the brain called the olfactory cortex, which is responsible for our sense of smell. Our sense of smell is a complex process that depends on sensory organs, nerves, and the brain. There are about 4 million cells in the nose. Anosmia is the partial or complete loss of smell, which could be temporary or permanent. Men are more likely to suffer from it than women. Joining us on the program is Professor of Otorhinolaryngology at the College of Health Sciences, University of Abuja. He is also an ear, nose, and throat surgeon at the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, President of the Foundation of the Sick, and a health policy and management specialist, Professor Titus Ibekwe. Professor Ibekwe joins us from our Abuja studio. You're welcome to the show, Professor Ibekwe.
Thank you, Mary, for having me.
Obviously, loss of smell has something to do with the brain, but what are the different conditions that lead to the loss of smell in human beings?
Yes. Once again, thank you. Well, loss of smell, anosmia, it could be complete or partial, as you rightly pointed out. But the truth is that when it is complete, that is when it is anosmia, which means non-perception of smell. But you call it, sometimes it's used interchangeably, which is not right. And there are some other types of dysfunctions of loss of smell. Apart from anosmia, you have cacosmia. Cacosmia is perceiving just rotten stains alone, you know. So you've asked a very critical question, which I'm sure that our audience are interested in, the causes of this. It could be congenital, which means some people will just be born and they're unable to perceive smell due to delay in development or arrest in development of any of the components of the pathways that subsist for smell, which starts from the nose, goes through the receptors in the part of the nose, epithelium, the skin in the nose that we call the olfactory epithelium. The other part is the respiratory, which is responsible or assists in breathing. But this particular one is the portion that is assisting in perception of smell. The receptors over there, if they are not developed, which is what actually detects the odoriferous substances within the air, particles, which dissolves to form some chemical milieu within the nose. And this receptor picks it up. And then the upper part of the nose, that is the area that is like a watershed that is dividing where the brain is sitting and the upper nose, we have cribriform fossa there. So it's a perforation that some sensors are hanging down from there, which connects with these receptors and pick up the signals that are detected by the receptors. It's passed on to the olfactory bulb that you mentioned. From there, it gets to the brain, for interpretation. So if any part of this connectivity is not well developed, then you have a person who from birth is unable to perceive. Then the other one is acquired. Somebody who had been perceiving smell before suddenly lost the sense of smell. The commonest here is usually infection, allergy, and common cold. All right, because what actually happens here is that there will be inflammatory process within the nose. So the skin in the nose will get swollen in the process and block these receptors, which are supposed to connect, with the particles in the air the aroma particles in the air and pick up and send to the brain for interpretation. But it's usually temporary, this type, and it's not expected to last up to 1 week. And it's important to note that any loss of smell that lasts beyond 1 week is a red flag. Then beyond that, we have growth in the nose, tumors. For the same explanation, they will tend to obstruct the contact between these, odor particles and the chains of pathways that connects them from the nose upwards. Then we know that is commoner in loss of smell is commoner in males than females. So gender has a role to play. Even some physiological processes, pregnancy. In pregnancy, we have reduction in smell. However, menstruation does not affect smell in any way, And beyond this, we still have injury to the head. Those who have had accident and serious head injury, this can affect this part of the brain that actually subserves. Yes.
So far, right. You've been mentioning temporary ones, apart from the congenital. So these are now the permanent ones you're going to.
You're correct, Mary. We're moving over to the permanent ones. So head injury, which affects this sensitive part of the brain, can lead to that. It's also known that people who suffer from, epilepsy are prone to having loss of smell or reduced in level of smell, ability to smell some items and not all. It's also an early warning sign for Alzheimer's disease and also Parkinsonism, yes, and even dementia, which comes with age. And this is why, even in normal processes, as one is aging, you tend to lose this function of smell. But again, there are about 2 substances that, deviate from this norm. Ability to perceive the smell of banana, the component in banana, for unexplained reason, seems to improve with age. The same thing with rose flower. But beyond these 2, we know that the rest of the odoriferous substances, they drop. Then individuals who have rhinosinusitis, are also prone to having the loss of smell. Those who have been exposed to pungent chemicals, those who are working in chemical industries. And this is why they need to protect themselves. When they get exposed to this over a long time, those olfactory epithelium would tend to start degenerating. And when this happens, it can lead to permanent loss of smell.
Okay, Prof, I want to ask, you've been mentioning a lot of things that we don't have control over, like age, like being a man. Are there things that we have control over, risk factors that we have control over to safeguard, the ability to smell?
That's very correct, Mary. There are. Smoking is one. Ironically, it's not a good news for smokers. People who smoke tend to, for the same reason of constant irritation of this special mucosal skin in the nose that subserves for this. So irritation from this smoke will tend to affect the mucosa and it will lose its function. It can be a permanent thing, and of course, we have mentioned those workers who get themselves exposed to irritants and chemicals, that is also a risk factor. Then certain diseases, diabetes mellitus has been a pointer towards it, although it's not been seen to affect people generally. The percentage tend to be a little bit on the low side, but it is also known to be a risk or predisposing factor towards having this loss of sense of smell. If you recall, during COVID period, You remember that it was one of the key,
pointers.
One of the key, red flags towards presentation. At least up to 42% of individuals was proven to present with this factor. Because the organism itself, the viral infections generally, not only COVID, but COVID has predilection for these receptors within the nose, and that is where they get deposited first and multiply in their numbers. So they colonize the nose over some time, and that's why it's an early mode of, presentation.
And some people have...
these are some of the factors.
Some people have this loss of smell in COVID, in long COVID, so they have it for a prolonged period of time. But tell us, Prof, how does losing a sense of smell, because I know that if somebody could smell before and then suddenly cannot smell, it has to affect the quality of life. How does that happen?
Yes, smell on its own is a very important component of, especially human, is one of the special senses, and suffice to say that ability to smell, apart from giving you this good sense of well-being, perceiving aroma, is also connected with taste. So whenever you lose sense of smell, the aroma is gone and the taste is badly affected or reduced. You won't be able to taste well. Then ability to perceive smell is also a protective mechanism, because if you enter into an environment that has a poisonous gas, it is your sense of smell that will detect this. It becomes very irritating, and you'll be able to sense to flight, to leave that environment and get yourself protected. Beyond that, we know that even in ability to attract, to love, smell plays a very big role, between couples and even in mating, So you can see that smell is a very important component of our life. And somebody who cannot smell at all, who hardly taste well, you can imagine when appetite is gone in one's life, one is unable to perceive all these attractive perfumes and aroma, flowers and stuff around you, what the quality of life will turn out to be. For long haul COVID, yes, it has been noted is one of those things, one of the symptoms that may persist over a very long time, And tinnitus, which is noise in the ear, has also been known to be one of those, signs of long COVID. And generalized weakness in some people, insomnia, difficulty with sleeping. So you can see how all these things are interwoven and interconnected together. And that's why the quality of life may be seriously or severely impaired if the sense of smell goes in an individual or is seriously impaired. But of course, it's also said that what you have not tasted before, you may not have this sense of loss regarding it. So for individuals, for one reason or the other, who from birth is a congenital problem and nobody has control over it and is not curable, a lot of them will manage to still live out their life and live a better quality life compared to those who have been having good sense of smell and loses it midway in life. You understand what I mean? So that is how definitely. It goes.
So we're going to go on a short break, Prof. Yeah, we'll come back to you soon. Viewers, stay with us. We're coming back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Health Matters on Channels Television, and we are talking about loss of smell with Professor Titus Ibekwe. You can call 0808-054-2233 if you have any questions on the loss of smell. You can also send a message at CTV_Mary A while the program continues. Prof, welcome back to the second half. What complications
Thank you.
are there for loss of smell? What are the complications, especially when it has become permanent? Are there other things that follow?
I've lost my signal.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear Mary again. Yes, I can hear you now, Mary.
I was asking, Prof, are there complications for loss of smell, especially when it has become permanent? Are there things that follow?
Yes, just what we ended up with before the break. The quality of life of these individuals is affected, but depending on the degree of loss of smell. Remember, I said that you have anosmia, you have hyposmia. Hyposmia means this individuals is able to still perceive some smell, but not all, which is partial loss of smell. So that one is a lot manageable. But anosmia, which is complete loss of smell, has both psychological and physical effect on individuals concerned, especially the acquired ones, as those who have lost it, who have been perceiving before. You know, they are seriously affected and almost always apprehensive if the person has enough knowledge, because you walked into where there is a pungent smell, where is dangerous gas that is capable of killing an individual. The person will not be able to perceive this, you know, to leave that zone just like others. So it is really dangerous to health, but the person is advised to seek medical counseling and treatment and management. So for such individuals, we need to investigate fully to find out the predisposing factor or the cause of the loss of smell. Once you're able to identify the cause, the problem is more than half solved, because a lot of them acquired anosmia. Once you are able to, you know, solve the primary problem that the individual has, for instance, those that have chronic rhinosinusitis, which is a common thing, that have polyps all over their nose. Once you're able to treat well, do a good polypectomy, follow up with appropriate management, steroids, antibiotics, and all that is necessary, over time, this sense of smell will return. Even for those that have tumor within the nose that is causing this blockage, once you're able to, you know, remove the tumor and do a good management, you also get results. For those with prolonged infection.
Let me butt in there and... sorry to cut you short. We're having Olusegun calling on the line from Lagos. Hello, Olusegun.
Yes,
what's your question?
Madam. Yes, my question is, I'm a victim. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah. Senses of smelling. Yeah, good afternoon, madam. Yes, I'm a victim. I lost my senses of smelling. So is there any remedy to it? Is there any remedy to it? Any medical correction to it?
The question would be, when did you lose it? How did you lose it? Are you aware?
Yes, I'm aware, because I cannot perceive.
Okay, I will hand you over to the doctor. Olusegun said he lost his sense of smell, and what can he do about it?
Yes, Mary, I had the question, and the question, your follow-up question is very pertinent. One will want to know, for how long has Olusegun lost this sense of smell? And secondly, under what circumstances? Was it after a road traffic accident that affected his head? Was there after some febrile illness? Did he run fever? And has he been having nasal blockage over time before this sense of smell got lost? Has he been running nose, constantly? Did he suffer from COVID during this COVID era or period? So all this, and where does he work? What kind of work is he doing? All these are very important. And all these questions may not be completely answered here. And that is why Olusegun will advise, please go to the closest ear, nose, and throat hospital or any general hospital or teaching hospital, request for an ENT surgeon who will take it up from here, do all the necessary question and answers, got information from you, and then move ahead to investigate you. After that, you'll be able to arrive at a diagnosis that will help in the treatment.
So let me just quickly ask you a follow-up from there. Concerning the head trauma, can that be rectified? If somebody had head trauma, maybe in an accident, and lost his sense of smell, is there anything that can be done?
A lot of time, it is something that is, we'll say, self-limiting. So it will involve ENT, it will involve neurosurgeons, but not primarily to go and correct sense of smell. Is if there's anywhere there is physical damage that could be rectified, that will be taken care of. Over time, you hope that the patient will be able to recover, and probably the sense of smell may return.
Okay, yes. Let's quickly take this question from Olufemi, who is also calling from Lagos. Hello, Olufemi, what's your question?
Yes, thank you, ma. My name is Olufemi, and I'm calling from Lagos, as said. It's not a question per se, but I've never at any time perceived odor in my life. Wow. So I don't know whether something smells until I see it. And I have to say, oh, if people are something is smelly. But the fact it has on me is that when I was in secondary school and I was to choose to select subjects, I couldn't select chemistry because I told my classmates, I cannot smell, so why should I go on to do chemistry? Because my intention at that level was to study medicine. But I want to say that I have an uncle who is a successful, doctor. He could not perceive in his life. A successful one based in Ibadan. So, what could have led to it? Because I decided that my senior brother, I can't say if my senior sister could perceive before he passed on. But none of us, me and my junior brother work in the same office, and I will ask him,
Excellent.
So I can't smell. So that has been it. I didn't grow up to know my mother very well, so I wouldn't know if she was able to perceive. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Olufemi. That is a wonderful piece of information that you have given us. And I'm going to head straight to the doctor now. That was very informative. He didn't do chemistry because of that.
Yes. Yeah, Mary, I will say that he has given a very fascinating history here. Recall at onset when we were classifying this, loss of sense of smell, we mentioned that it could be acquired and it could be congenital. Congenital are those that, come from birth. And one other thing that we skip is that familiar history is also a strong connect. Okay. If somebody in the family does not perceive odor, the chances of another person from that family not perceiving is very high. But I think this would be a very good case study. If he doesn't mind, Olufemi, after this program, Mary, please connect us so that I'll see how we could assist him, because it's a family thing, to send to the best centers and see how they could be investigated. Let's try and trace what is really responsible for this loss of sense of smell in this lineage, because the uncle that is a medical doctor has similar problem, and one of his relatives, or two of them, same. Is it a genetic problem or what? So it would be nice to follow up and see how they could be assisted in any way.
Okay, so I'll follow up with that.
Information coming from them
please,
will also
let's get
help
in touch.
others. Yeah.
Sorry about butting in. Let's talk after the program, Olufemi. But thank you so much, Doctor, for coming on the show. You may not know it, but we've exhausted our time. But thanks so much for being on the show. Lovely to have you as usual.
All right, thank you so much. Time is never our friend.
Never.
So thank you. It's nice to...
Thank you. Thank you for being with us wherever you're watching from. And thank you so much for your calls, Olusegun and Olufemi. Have a wonderful day. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.